We're back for F124 Driver Career Mode for Season 1, Round Number 9, the Austrian Grand Prix. It is another sprint weekend, so we've got a sprint race and a sprint and a main race to do, and of course sprint quali and normal quali as well. So another long one here today, but that's fine. We've had a couple of short ones with things that have happened the last couple of races. It was the MG UK that went kaput in Canada. That brought our race to an end last time out, so we're going to have to put a new one of those on. Didn't really have any money to do any R&D going into this weekend, but one of Alonso's upgrades on the MG UK durability failed, so I just went ahead and redid that one. But yeah, going into this weekend, let's see what will happen.
Hello and welcome back, and as you can see, the paddock is a hive of activity behind us. More action though going on behind closed doors because, Anthony Davison, we are in the middle of silly season. There is speculation everywhere as to where the drivers will move around the grid. Tell me from a driver's perspective, just how distracting is this?
It is a distraction, and it has been up until this point in the season, especially when you're outside of the car. But once that helmet goes on and the visor's down, it's back to business as usual, and that's when you see it all melt away. You're in the car doing what you do best. But yeah, certainly out of it, you sometimes see it boil over. Drivers have a few strong words to say to each other after some moments on track, because it is such a stressful environment.
A huge mind game for all of the drivers. We're having secretive meetings, clandestine chats. What is exactly being said though? Give us a level of insight.
So if you're not performing, obviously, you know, we're in a very brutal world in Formula One where the driver's data is there on show for inside your team for all to see, and you're constantly being compared against your teammate. There's nowhere to hide. And if you're not performing, then your team boss might be looking elsewhere and might not be telling you the full story. So sometimes you seek news from elsewhere in the paddock, even from the media. They might be telling you what's really going on with inside your team, and that's very uncomfortable. And then on the flip side, if you're having a great season, you might be the one having secretive talks with other teams that are performing better than your own team.
Okay, well, we're nearly out of time, so I'm going to send you to the commentary box, and we're going to get ready for today's Grand Prix.
So I thought I'd just leave that in there because we have this little cutscene, new thing for this game, so thought I'd leave that in there. If we have the same cutscene later on though, we'll probably cut it out. Looking at R&D, it looks very blurry because I've zoomed in quite a lot because everybody's so close to each other. But we've actually re-overtaken Mercedes for 4th place, kind of on paper, so that is a little bit reassuring there for us. So as we go into SQ1, of course, we've got sprint qualifying to do first of all. And you can see it's looking a little bit dark clouds going on here. A rain expected for later on in sprint qualifying. And as you can see, end of Q1, we get our lap in. Some people didn't quite get their lap in good enough. Charles Leclerc being the big one there, out in Q1 or SQ1 in P17. That is very unfortunate for him. SQ2 comes around and it's not raining anymore. So there was rain in the loading screen there after SQ1. But it's not raining here in SQ2, so don't know what that's about. I guess it just happened to stop right at the end there. As you can see, this lap here, we're going purple through Sector 1, so showing we've got some pretty good speed in this Aston Martin, although we're currently P15, Alonso's down there now in P14. We do manage to get through just about in P6, but you can see no Alonso there. He's out in P15. He went out on a set of inters, so I'm not sure if maybe the track was wet at the beginning or at the end, I can't remember. He didn't go out again, but yeah, Alonso out of sprint qualifying here, so it is us and us alone for Aston Martin in SQ3, and we put an alright lap together. As you can see on this final flying lap, my sector 1 was not great. I had a yellow first sector, it's a green second sector though, and a green third sector. In the end, it's good enough for P6 for us, so it's a decent enough performance. We got Verstappen and the 2 McLarens at the front. But yeah, P6 for us, both Alpines and Tsunoda there in the top 10 as well. That's exciting. But let's see what is in store for this sprint race here in Austria.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Sainz, Shaw, Hamilton, Gasly, Norris, Ocon, Sonoda, Magnussen, Sargent, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Hulkenberg, Bottas, Leclerc, Albon, Ricciardo, and Zhou Guanyu. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We'll soon find out.
Here we go for the sprint race. Lando Norris actually ended up getting a grid penalty, so he's down to P8. So it's Piastri, the McLaren, on the front row with Max Verstappen. We're elevated to P5. It's an alright start for us, better start than Russell, but we're kind of boxed in a little bit, and that lets his teammate Hamilton dive up the inside of us. So we've lost a position at the start of this race, and now actually defending a little bit from Pierre Gasly, the car behind. But it's been a great start for Hamilton, who's already on a charge on his teammate as well up ahead. He's on the inside of Russell going into the turn 3 hairpin. Russell's going to try and fight back though. Yellow flag behind. I think it's more just people bunching up behind us than anything else. The two Mercedes are still side by side though as they head down to what I guess is turn 4. Hamilton's still on the inside. It's been a great start for him, and yeah, Russell just didn't get a very good launch off the line, which yeah allowed us to try and go for a move, but he blocked the move off and we just weren't able to get ahead of him. Russell has managed to just about defend from his teammate though and stay up there in 4th place with Hamilton in 5th. We are kind of on our own here in 6th with a bit of a gap to the cars behind of Gasly, Norris and a few others. As we head around the last couple of corners, a little bit wider out of the final corner there, but it's all good. DRS will now be available this next lap, and we will carry on. Looks like Max Verstappen's got a decent start at the front there, which I think in a second we'll have a brief look at from Carlos Sainz's point of view. Started in P4, great start against Russell there, who like I said had a bad start. Piastri's then on the inside there defending. Sainz is going to try and go round the outside of turn 1, and it's a beautiful run round the outside and up into 2nd place for Carlos Sainz. So it was a great start to this race for him. Unfortunately though, come lap 2 and Verstappen's already over a second up the road, so Sainz doesn't have DRS, and Piastri has DRS on Sainz. So he's going to try and get the move done as they head now down to turn 4. Sainz still trying to stay in this one. They're side by side, but Piastri will get the position back up into P2 for the Australian, down to P3 for Sainz. Although Sainz is still going to battle this one back. You know, this being a track full of DRS zones and straights, you can just come back at the car next lap around, or even just next straight around, and Sainz does manage to get back past Piastri once again, and Piastri might actually be looking to defend from Russell, but it's going to be 3 wide into turn 4 as Sainz gets sandwiched in the middle. There's a bit of damage for someone there. I'm not sure who that is. I can't see anybody with noticeable damage there, but it looked like somebody lost some damage there as there's more banging. I think that was just a bit of wheel banging between Piastri and Sainz. Russell has managed to carve his way through and get up to 2nd now, so he's dived past both of them, and Sainz now back down to P4 where he started, and actually might fall down even further as Hamilton goes up the inside into the 2nd to last corner, and Sainz all of a sudden goes from P2 to P5. Now we're on the back of him as well as we head down the front straight. He's going very defensive. We're going to try and go round the outside of turn 1, pinch him into the corner, and we're going to get up into P5. Sainz has just lost about, what, 5 positions in not even a lap. So very unfortunate for him. As now Hamilton showing a bit more pace as he's once again gone for a move on his teammate round the outside this time of turn 3, and he's got the position. Although Russell might come back, not quite, and then actually Hamilton's going to go even further and now battle with Oscar Piastri for that 2nd place. Once again to the outside goes Lewis Hamilton to try and get a better run off the corner, and he just about does, but I think Piastri's got the DRS. As you can see, Piastri just putting his car there to the outside, and they're going to go side by side then through turn 4. Russell just sitting back there in the background. These two still side by side. Hamilton trying to get up to P2 in this race. Tries to hang it around the outside, but Piastri keeps it on the inside and is just about going to get the position back to 2nd place. A great scrapping going on towards the front. Kevin Magnussen is going to be the first retirement of this sprint race and of this whole weekend. His car goes up in smoke and he tumbles down to last place, and he is out of this sprint. Once again, the battle at the front still continues on. Piastri trying to defend from Hamilton, but Hamilton looks so quick and he gets such a good drive off turn 3. Or maybe it was just Piastri getting a bad drive, because then Russell just blitzes past Piastri. Nothing he can do about it. And Piastri's now down to P4. This is now looking at Pierre Gasly. I went on board because the replay cameras didn't really show a lot off here, but he heads around this corner and engine pretty much cuts out as well. Pierre Gasly is the second driver to be out of this race with an engine problem. You can see the gap that Verstappen has out the front here. He's running away with this sprint. The two Mercedes, though, are now going to start fighting each other once again. These two are really having a ding-dong battle this sprint race. Russell now back ahead of Hamilton once again, up into second place for him. Charles Leclerc is looking for a move here. He started, remember, in P17 after the sprint qualifying. He's just gone round the outside of 2 cars to get up into P8. So Leclerc from P17 is looking to score at least 1 point in this sprint race. That is some crazy moves he's done in this sprint race. Such a small race, such a short race, and he's making moves so quickly. Once again, Hamilton and Russell really battling it out here. Russell in front of Hamilton. He's going to go defensive. Hamilton's going to try and go to the outside as they head into turn 4. Russell, though, is going to brake later, stay there, but I think Hamilton is going to maybe try and go round the outside. It'll give him the inside for the next corner. This is the second to last race of the Grand Prix. These two fighting over second place at the moment. Hamilton's still there on the inside. Great racing between the two teammates, but maybe a little bit feisty for Mercedes than what Mercedes would like. But Russell stays ahead, and now Hamilton is under threat from Piastri as we head on to the final lap. Piastri dives up the inside of turn 1. I'm just here in the background watching this unfold. I can't really do anything at the moment. They're blocking my way. I've just kind of got to sit back and wait for something to happen. And Piastri has gotten himself up into third place, although he locks up into turn 3. Only a smaller cup, though, comes back on the track. Actually, probably compromises Hamilton a bit there, and it means that Piastri is going to get P3. Russell's going to get P2. It's going to be P4 for Hamilton, and we're right here behind them, but it's P5 for us in this sprint race. So it's we actually finish where we started after losing a position at the start. Quite an exciting sprint race, that. Actually, a lot of action, especially in front of me. It was just all going on in front of me. Driver of the day, I think quite rightly, goes to Charles Leclerc. P17 to P8 for the Monegasque driver. That is one hell of a result for him to make up that many positions. What's that? Nine positions in 12 laps? That is great stuff from Leclerc. Norris doesn't even score a point in P9. Very unfortunate for him. And Alonso also way down towards the back, as we now head into qualifying for the main Grand Prix, Q1. As you can see, at this current point in time, looking very sunny out, but that may change later on in the session. But for now, the sun is out. My first qualifying lap did not go very well. You can see I'm in P15, and I have done a lap, but I'm in P15 because first and third sector were pretty decent, but my second sector, I don't know why, but I think I didn't get like a good run off turn 3. As you can see, I'm up just over 2/10 around that corner. So I had a bad sector 2, but thankfully that second lap I did get a better lap in, and we are there in P8. Alonso in P9, so he makes it out of Q1, which is good. No real surprises out in Q1 here. Maybe Ricciardo, the biggest surprise. I mean, Hulkenberg is not doing very well in this career mode of ours either. Like, compared to real life, he's really not performing that well in this career mode, but the Haas is just in that pack, and yeah, the drivers don't quite seem to be able to do what they do in real life. Q2, and we're currently sitting P10 after my first lap. Once again, wasn't the best lap in the world. Wanted to get a better lap in, and we do get a decently better lap this time. Actually 3/10 up, almost lose a little bit around the final corner there, but we are going to cross the line and get through to Q2, and Alonso does as well. Me and Alonso basically separated by nothing these first couple of sessions. And yeah, once again, no real surprises out in Q2. It is the expected 5 teams that are into Q3, so a more normal qualifying session than in sprint qualifying. However, for Q3, the rain was here. It was here straight away in Q3, and you can see it's very wet. It is intermediate conditions, but it is rather wet. I did a little bit of a tweak on the setup, a bit more front wing. I think I unlocked the front, the on throttle diff or whatever it was. I don't know. I'm not very good with setups. I get my setups from the YouTube channel Sim Racing Setups. Great setups, by the way, if you want to check him out. And yeah, I just watched this video on how to convert a dry setup to a wet setup. Of course, being in Parc Ferme, I couldn't do a lot, but because the race is going to be dry, so I just kind of had to compromise for qualifying a little bit. But you know, the car felt okay, very understeery. I'm noticing that in this game, wet conditions can be quite understeery, which is interesting. I haven't had a wet race at all on this game so far. We've had quite a few wet qualifyings actually. Well, like towards the end of qualifying has been wet about 3 times now, I think, 3 or 4 times, but I haven't had rain in the race as of yet, so I would like to get a wet race at some point to see how that goes. But this time around we crossed the line P8 at that point in time. It ends up being P9 by the time the flag falls, though we didn't manage to get another lap time in because the rain got heavier, so nobody got a better lap in. But it's P7 for Alonso, so better performance for him this time around in the Grand Prix qualifying. He's ahead of us. We're in P9. We've got Perez in the Red Bull between us.
This is it then, race day in Spielberg for this year's Austrian Grand Prix. Not long to go before our drivers hurtle off the line and into the first turn, the Niki Lauda curve. It was renamed in 2019 in memory of one of Formula One's most beloved figures. It's one of the shortest laps on the calendar today then, with 7 rights and just 3 lefts, making up the 10 corners of this high-speed circuit. Turn 2 is barely a corner at all. They'll be flat out through there, a left-hand kink into the uphill braking zone of turn 3. Turns 1, 3 and 4 are all potential opportunities to overtake. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. Edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Oscar Piastri, Russell, Hamilton, Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Shaw, Leclerc, Gasly, Albon, Ocon, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Joe, Sargent, Perez, Hulkenberg, Bottas, and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
Austrian Grand Prix time. Here we are. It's looking quite cloudy again, but there will not be rain for this race. Lights out and away we go alongside our teammate. It's slow for quite a few drivers up ahead. Alonso's got a great start actually around the outside of a bunch of cars. Leclerc's gone diving as well as we get swamped by Sainz and Albon, and we're down to P10 at the start here. We were once again looking like having a pretty good start, but slow cars ahead of us kind of just, you know, pinched us into turn 1. It is very difficult into turn 1 in this race on the first lap. Just, yeah, really tight, strange kind of right-hander, and catches you out quite a lot if you're around other cars, and it has caught us out quite badly here, especially Albon there, who is already fighting with Carlos Sainz, looking very quick in that Williams actually. Yeah, good job for Albon. He's still side by side with Sainz as they head around these next few corners. A little bit of wheel banging, and Albon has gotten ahead of Carlos Sainz, so great start for him. Great start for Leclerc, up to P5. He started in, what was it, like was he behind us, or I think he was, wasn't he? I don't know why he was behind us, but I feel like he was. Maybe he had a penalty. No, Perez had a penalty. I don't know. Well, Leclerc is up to P5 anyway, which is definitely higher than where he started. As we have a look further up the road, and this is Oscar Piastri going for a move on Alonso, who had gotten himself up to P3 at the start of this race. P7 to P3 for Fernando Alonso. What a start he had. He's now fighting with Piastri for that P3, as now Leclerc is going to try and get it as well, and it's once again 3 wide into turn 4. Piastri's been hung out to dry a little bit there, and now it's Leclerc versus Alonso for this final place on the podium at this current point in time. Round the outside, Charles Leclerc, the inside for Fernando Alonso. The inside's usually going to win out in this situation, but Leclerc is really holding on here very, very well, and it's going to be tight going into the final couple of corners here. Can Leclerc make this move? Yes, he does. He budges Alonso wide. Leclerc has had a stonking start up to P3. Alonso now once again fighting with Piastri. This time, though, it's for P4. As down to turn 1 we go. Piastri on the inside, Alonso on the outside. Into turn 1 we go. Piastri loves going side by side through turn 1. Doesn't really work out for him this time, though, as he has to concede the position to Fernando. We are still carrying on with these cars up ahead as Sainz has a look on Albon, diving up the inside of him into turn 3. We're trying to take a wider line. There's some bodywork flying off up ahead of us. We've now gotten a bad run out of turn 3, and Pierre Gasly has come out of nowhere to drag race us down to turn 4. We try and brake as late as we can, but he's still there on the inside. He's got the better turn in, the better traction, and he's going to get ahead of us. So we're now down and out of the points into P11. This has been a pretty poor start for us as Albon and Sainz are still going at it up ahead. Those two are going absolutely crazy, and now we're going to sense an opportunity on Gasly. This is when I'm quite quick around that corner. We're going to go to the outside as we head into these final couple of corners. Sainz still looking at a move on Albon. We're just going to try and hang it round the outside later on the brakes into the final corner, very nearly going to the back of Alex Albon. We're now ahead of Pierre Gasly, and now as Sainz has had a bad run off that corner because he was fighting with Albon, we're going to fight him down to turn 1. We are just going to let him go there. Don't want to absolutely fly off the track, and we're going to have to stay behind him for the time being. Albon, though, is slowing us down a little bit here. He's doing a great job fighting with Sainz here, but he is definitely quite a bit slower, and you can already see the cars ahead have scampered off a little bit as Sainz does manage to get back past Albon again through out of turn 3, but then into turn 4. Albon's still going to try and fight this, and it's going to go round the outside of Carlos Sainz and into the next corner, side by side once again. These two are having an absolute ding-dong battle. There's more contact between them, and Albon has kept, well, he's got the position back again from Sainz. I'm not sure if this was this exact same moment right here that happened. I think it might actually be the next lap after that, as we now sense an opportunity on Sainz do just what we did with Pierre Gasly, and that's now gotten us up into 9th place. And now I'm hoping we can get past Albon relatively easy here. He doesn't have DRS, so he's going to go defensive. We're just going to be like, no worries, we'll take the outside line. He's going to outbrake us though into turn 3 and put us on the outside, but we're going to try and get better traction. I really struggle out of that corner to get the better traction, and unfortunately he got to the detection point first. Oh, sorry, he got to the detection point second, and he picked up the DRS, so we weren't able to make a move on him into turn 4. So unfortunately we're going to have to sit behind him for a little bit longer. We're then going to though make him go defensive into turn 1, try the move around the outside, just keep a wheel there, our front wheel with his rear wheel. Now we have DRS and we're alongside him as the DRS is activated, so it's a pretty easy move. Go a little bit defensive into turn 3 though, because I know they're very good on the brakes into there, but we are finally going to get past Albon and up into P8. And just after that happened, then Albon threw it all away because he locked up, and Sainz is past, Gasly's past as well. They're going to fight it out, and I think in the end, I'm not going to show it because it goes on for a while, but I think Albon does just about manage to get back past Gasly and up into P10. Now, Alonso's fallen back a little bit from the guys up ahead, but he is now battling with Lewis Hamilton for what is 4th place. Leclerc has scampered off a little bit up the road in 3rd. You can see him just here, Mr. Charles Leclerc, doing a great job in that Ferrari at the moment, but there's yellow flags, and oh no. Oh my goodness, what is the luck? What is the luck of Charles Leclerc? He is having a woeful season here in 2024. It is a woeful season for Charles Leclerc. He is now out of the Austrian Grand Prix with a mechanical failure after sitting in 3rd place. Lap 16 on to 17, the leaders are into the pits. Verstappen and Norris both there, a fair way out into the lead. It's a slow stop for Max Verstappen though, and that's going to mean that Lando Norris is going to take the effective race lead here in Austria. So poor pit stop for Red Bull. Now Lando Norris will effectively lead this race once everybody has come into the pits. Speaking of coming to the pits, we're going to come in on that same lap pretty much that Verstappen and Lando did. Decent enough pit stop for us. The team get the hard compound tyres on. Nice work. I think it was about a 2.4 second pit stop. Yep, there it is, 2.4. Good pit stop by the team. We're going to come out on the track in a nice little bit of clean air as well, so we can just push on as much as we like. Verstappen is not having the fact that he's just been overtaken in the pits by Lando Norris, so he's trying to get back at him straight away into turn 1, has a little look, can't quite make it work, but he's so close behind him as they head up to turn 3. He's going to get past. Norris isn't even going to fight it really into turn 3, and Verstappen, after losing the lead for about 2 laps, is now back into the lead once again. As we now continue on, George Russell coming to the pits like 2 laps after us, and he is now just coming out of the pits. We unfortunately don't get DRS from him, and he is on slightly fresher tyres than us, but not a lot fresher, and our car is on paper a little bit quicker than the Mercedes, so I have hope we can get past him here, and with plenty of ERS to use and DRS as well, we're going to blast past into turn 3, get that move, sit the car in the middle of the road and continue on our way. Oscar Piastri fallen back from Alonso quite a bit here. You can see him up the road, and looks like now he's had an issue as well, just in the same spot that Leclerc did. Piastri now also out of this Austrian Grand Prix, the second runner running in the top 5, looking at a potential podium, also out of this race. We were kind of just managing for a little while here. Russell managing to stay within DRS of us. We were catching Hamilton relatively slowly, 2.3 seconds you can see at the moment. So we were catching the cars ahead, but or mainly Hamilton, weren't really catching Alonso. He was going pretty quick. But yeah, Russell, we were kind of dragging Russell with us at this point in time and not really able to shake him at the front, and Norris managing to keep with Norris for this whole stint, or sorry, Norris managing to stick with Verstappen, should I say, the whole time here. Really, really close to him. Never went for a move though. After Verstappen got past, up until this point, Norris still hasn't gone for a move on Verstappen for the lead, but it is still very close up at the front. We eventually, by lap 33, managed to catch up to Hamilton. We've also gapped Russell by about 3 seconds as well, so now starting to show some good pace in this latter half of the race, and we're going to dive up the inside of turn 4 on Lewis Hamilton and pretty easily get that move done. Up into P4 now. It is an Aston Martin 3-4 for the team. On to lap 34 for Sergio Perez, who had a penalty this race, so ended up starting a bit further down the order. He's now going to get past George Russell as he goes around the outside into turn 1. That is now Perez up to P6. I think that's going to be about all he can do because myself and Hamilton are a bit further up the road. Wasn't quite able to shake Hamilton in the last couple of laps. Just got to a second as we round the final corner, but he stuck with me the whole way. But in the end, we're going to come home for another 4th position. 4th place seems like quite a loved place for me. It'd be nice to be up on the podium a bit more, but after the start of the season getting loads, a couple of podiums, not quite had as many great results lately, but it's still a good enough result for us. P4.
It's another victory and a champion's performance from Max Verstappen.
And it's always good, Crofty, to get that momentum on your side, and it's really good for your confidence as well. The more confident you are, the further that can take you.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently, and it's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be so proud of the victory they've secured here.
It is another win for Max Verstappen. It's another 2nd place for Lando Norris, and a 3rd place, another podium for Fernando Alonso. So good to have one of our cars up there. I think that is now possibly 2 podiums each for myself and Alonso. And I believe a win. I mean, he's had a win, I've had a win, and then we've both had, I think I've had a 2nd and he's had a 3rd now. So yeah, it's going to be closing up between me and Alonso in the championship. He's definitely, coming forward, doing good stuff these last few weekends. Looking at the overall points for this weekend, including the sprint, we actually, even though we ended up with a P5 and a P4, we ended up P3 overall in the standings there. But yeah, it was P4 for this race and a P5 in the sprint. Very close between myself and Alonso again on pace. Definitely pretty much nailed the difficulty of this race. The calculator seems to be working just about right now. I say that next race will probably be, it probably won't be correct, but at the moment the calculator seems to be working pretty well. So definitely give that a whirl. It's down in the description as always. And we're still third in the championship as well, closing a little bit on Hamilton. We're just, what, 5 points behind Hamilton at the moment. A little bit, 13 ahead of Norris, and Alonso's just behind him as well. And only 2 points behind Mercedes. We are in the Constructors' Championship as well. Red Bull still only 41 points in the lead because of Perez not quite, doing everything he needs to. Then it's very close, back McLaren and Ferrari are close. RB and Alpine are level on points, so very exciting going forward. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.